Hey, man. What's up, Mr. Stark?
Kid, where'd you come from?
A field trip to MoMA! What is this guy's problem, Mr. Stark?
He's from space. He came here to steal a necklace from a wizard. Kid, that's the wizard. Get on it.
On it! Not cool. Gotcha. Mr. Stark, I'm being beamed up.
Hang on, kid.
Whoa! Ugh.
Wong, you're invited to my wedding.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. A bunch of you have been messaging me about this new Spider-Man Daily Bugle Easter egg that's been found that basically references everything that just happened in that Black Order battle. And there's a really cool new Miles Morales story from behind the scenes that I'll talk about at the end of the video. So if you're new to the channel, there's a new round of that Infinity War Blu-ray giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. The funnier thing about this, I think, is the fact that J. Jonah Jameson isn't taking a shot at Spider-Man. Like, it's weird if you don't see Spider-Man on the front page and it's not part of some big takedown campaign that he's trying to start.
Spider-Man, hero or menace? Exclusive Daily Bugle photos.
Menace. He was protecting that armor.
I'll tell you what, Atticus, you take the pictures, I'll make up the headlines, okay? All right? That okay with you?
Gotta get him some of those hot Spider-Man pics. If you guys didn't know, Daily Bugle was confirmed during Spider-Man Homecoming. It was more of a plot point, but that ended up getting cut out of the film. The explanation that the writers gave actually makes it seem like it was a good idea that they didn't go in this direction, because the original pitch was that Peter, instead of doing the thing like they did in the comics where he earns money by taking pictures of himself as Spider-Man in these really crazy poses that only he himself could get as Spider-Man, he would be using those YouTube videos that he makes of himself to try and make money. So it's basically the same thing, but it's more of a social media spin on it, and he would be just earning money on the AdSense.
Peter, you still with us?
Yeah.
So you'd have to imagine that Peter Parker would be more of a genuine YouTuber, but it'd be Peter Parker making Spider-Man videos without people knowing that he himself was Spider-Man, filming himself with a GoPro camera. I wonder what the name of his YouTube channel would be. And they actually even changed that during Civil War so that it didn't look exactly like a YouTube page. Maybe they were going to use the YouTube logo and Google asked them for a whole bunch of money and they didn't want to pay up, so they just made it a really generic looking YouTube page. Even though that sounds kind of funny, I think we can agree that cheapens the character a little bit, so I'm glad that they cut that out. But there is Daily Bugle confirmed in New York City. It just hasn't appeared a whole bunch. J. Jonah Jameson hasn't become a really big character, but because Peter's going to be in Europe for most of Spider-Man Far From Home, I don't know if we're actually going to see him show up during that movie. And if we do, it's probably just going to be a minor Easter egg, and it'll just be some regular hit piece like you would expect. Spider-Man causes more problems again. Local man ruins everything. The funny thing about Mysterio, who's still supposed to be the main villain of Spider-Man Far From Home, one of his first big battles with Spider-Man involved J. Jonah Jameson. It was when he was dressing up to pretend to be Spider-Man to make him seem like a criminal. Then as Mysterio, he would go to J. Jonah Jameson and say, "I'm going to take down the criminal Spider-Man." So it only made JJ's relationship with Spider-Man even worse, even though it was Mysterio pretending to be Spider-Man to set it up. Eventually, Spider-Man took him down and cleared his name, but obviously JJ doesn't care about any of that. He just cares about selling more newspapers and hating on Spider-Man. The other Easter eggs on this newspaper are kind of funny too, like the world's still reeling from Black Panther's revelation in his post-credit scene, so everybody's still getting used to the idea of vibranium, but turns out Shuri eventually did make it to Coachella and they paid off that joke from the end of the movie.
When you said you would take me to California for the first time, I thought you meant Coachella or Disneyland. Why here?
Not totally related to the Spider-Man Easter egg, but part of this big battle, Iron Man also invites Wong to his wedding. Just another reason why they're probably going to pay that off during Avengers 4 and actually do the Iron Man Pepper wedding. I've already done a video about that. They had a deleted scene where they spend a lot more time talking about the wedding, foreshadowing Avengers 4 stuff, so I'll link that at the end of this. But when you're rewatching the movie, just pay attention for little things like that. Like, oh wow, they seem to be mentioning this wedding a bunch of times. They probably intend on actually having it at some point. But I think, there's a lot of questions about Tony and where we pick up in Avengers 4, so not everything is going to be totally linear. Like, they won't pick up right here on Titan when we start in Avengers 4. We'll have a little bit of a time jump, and this newspaper makes it seem like people will remember what happened in this big Sanctum battle. But I think that Stan Lee cameo scene in Infinity War is a really good reminder that New Yorkers know all about aliens, and it's totally nonchalant at this point. Like, oh yeah, aliens back. Yeah, we haven't seen them in a couple years. Okay, everybody just stay inside for a couple hours while the Avengers deal with this. We'll clean the mess up later. That's kind of the weird thing about J. Jonah Jameson's relationship with Spider-Man from the comics, is that it usually is just him and Spider-Man in the city, Spider-Man trying to save people, something goes a little bit wrong, then JJ blows it up to make it seem like Spider-Man did something really terrible when he was actually trying to do something good.
All right, Mr. Jameson.
Sticks. Robbie, there's your page 1. Masked menace terrorizes town.
I told you he's not a man.
You had to imagine he would have had a field day after that first Avengers film. Avengers destroy city in battle with aliens, making it seem like it was the Avengers' fault that all this damage happened and all these people ended up dying. The reason why you probably didn't see a whole lot of that is just because they wanted to save Daily Bugle for a Spider-Man movie, and because Sony kind of owns that, and at the time they didn't have that sharing arrangement with them yet, so they couldn't use any of those Spider-Man characters. But really interesting fact, Marvel did have the right to make a Miles Morales Spider-Man film. They used him as a bargaining chip when they were negotiating with Amy Pascal for the rights to use Spider-Man in all these big Avengers MCU films. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it was something like Amy Pascal trying to say, we don't need Marvel, we can still do this, Spider-Man is super popular, we'll still make a lot of money regardless of what kind of movie we put out. And because Marvel MCU stuff had been so successful at that point, he said, we'll make a Spider-Man movie and we'll use Miles Morales, so we'll beat you to market with a new Spider-Man film. It'll be crazy successful because all of our movies are successful. And it was sort of like them playing chicken, like we don't really need Peter Parker, but secretly they do kind of need Peter Parker. And Sony's Spider-Man films had been hurting for a long time. They really did need Marvel's creative and the clout that came with being part of the MCU. Let me know in the comments though, how do you want the future Spider-Man films to use Daily Bugle and J. Jonah Jameson? That would actually be a really easy way to bind the Netflix shows to the movies, because Karen Page works at a newspaper, but it's not the Daily Bugle, which kind of pissed me off when I found out about that. But you could just make her a Daily Bugle employee. She could also be reporting about a bunch of stuff that's happening with Infinity War and all those things, even though all the Netflix shows, the seasons that are happening this year, take place before the snap. There will be new Venom footage coming really soon, so I'll do a video for that when it posts. Leave all your requests in the comments below, and I'll name a giveaway winner when I post new Marvel. Click here for that Iron Man Avengers 4 scene that I was talking about, and click here for brand new Spider-Man Far From Home. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.